So just who is the judge appointed in Donald Trump's latest criminal trial? Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So this is Judge Tanya Chutkan, district judge in the District of Columbia Federal District, who has been assigned to handle the latest charges that are being brought against Donald Trump by Special Prosecutor Jack Smith. Chutkan is a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania Law School and is notable for actually having worked for a number of years as a public defender, one of the only members of the federal bench with that background. It's worth noting, though, that after that, she did actually go to work for David Boies' law firm, representing white-collar defendants in antitrust cases. I guess nobody can escape the corporate treadmill. But Chutkan is clearly qualified, having been appointed by President Barack Obama, and in a little bit of irony, just like the judge in the Florida circuit who's handling Donald Trump's trial down there, Judge Aileen Cannon, she actually was not born in the United States. Judge Chutkan was born in Jamaica, whereas Judge Aileen Cannon was born in Colombia. Cannon, as you may remember, is the judge down in Florida who has raised eyebrows with some of her rulings in favor of requests by the president. And by the president I'm talking about is Donald Trump, who again is the one who appointed her. We have no such fear with Judge Chutkan, however. Chutkan, who is known as a fair judge, has certainly not been bowled over by the arguments the MAGA crowd have made in her courtroom. She's in fact the first judge who ruled that Donald Trump could not shield his White House records relating to the January 6th incident from the investigators in Congress. As I recall, her opinion said something about presidents not being kings, an interesting rhetorical flourish. But from a legal standpoint, she hung her hat on the fact that President Biden had waived executive privilege for these documents, and when you have a choice between the current president and what he wants versus the former president and what he wants, you got to go with the current president. The Court of Appeals and Supreme Court, by the way, both upheld her opinion in that case. She's also become known as a throw-the-book-at-them judge for the January 6th defendants. As you may recall, there have been many of the participants in that riot who've been charged with federal crimes by the Department of Justice, and their cases have been heard in the D.C. District Court. Chutkan has heard a number of those cases, and according to the Washington Post, she's given consistently the harshest sentences of any of the judges in that district. Sorry about that. So she's clearly not someone who's going to fall over herself to try to make President Trump happy. I can only imagine, given her ethnicity, that we might be hearing some interesting statements coming out of Donald Trump in the not-too-distant future. But one thing that's clear is she's an exceptionally qualified judge who will not stand for any of the MAGA BS that Donald Trump so often brings. Now, before we hear from the MAGA crowd about, this is some kind of political appointment, you have to understand, judges are appointed randomly. So, for example, the way Judge Aileen Cannon was appointed to the case down in Florida, essentially what happened is once the case was filed, there was a blind draw among the 18 judges in that district. Blind draw randomly assigned Judge Aileen Cannon to that case. Similarly, when the case was filed in the District of Columbia district, there was a random assignment made from the 15 judges there. In both cases, you have to understand, each circuit has judges who are both appointed by Democrats and Republicans. In fact, while the D.C. Circuit does have judges appointed by Obama and Biden, there are also a number of judges who are appointed by Trump, as well as Reagan, Clinton, and George W. Bush. Similarly, in the Southern District of Florida, although there aren't any Biden appointees from what I can tell yet, there are a number of Obama appointees as well as Clinton appointees, in addition to Trump appointees, of course, and Bush appointees. As a result, it's completely dumb luck in favor of Donald Trump that Judge Aileen Cannon was appointed down in Florida, and dumb bad luck that Judge Chutkan was appointed in D.C. That being said, I think it's worth noting that there's going to be a lot of attention on both these cases. And we've already seen from Judge Cannon, for example, that these judges will bend over backward to show that they are objective and nonpartisan in their handling of these cases. In fact, they will bend over backwards to make sure they're fair to Donald Trump, while not prejudicing the prosecutors. An example of that, of course, would be the recent ruling by Judge Cannon that did not agree with the request of Donald Trump's attorneys to delay the trial until after next year's election. In fact, at this point, the trial is scheduled for next May, right in the middle of the general election campaign, something that I'm sure Donald Trump was not hoping for. So before we make any assumptions about how either of these judges are going to operate, we need to remember that they're judges first, and they know the eyes of the world are going to be upon them in both these cases. But that being said, I think it's fair to say that Donald Trump would have preferred to have another judge appointed to handle his case in the DC district. Well, if you want to see another video that I did about one of the less impressive federal judges out there, check out this video I did over here. There I talk about Judge Kaczmarek, the crazy right-wing judge from Texas who's doing his best to undermine abortion rights. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.